let's go! Breaking down the matches, analyzing the fights, big cats got the scoop, shining the spotlight. From the big leagues to the underdog fight, first sessions got you covered, day and night. With the roar of the crowd, we dive deep inside, uncovering the secrets we can't hide. Body slams and suplexes, we abide. Burn sessions where the wrestling truth resides.
Welcome to the Purr Sessions. This is a pre-recorded episode and will also be put up on our Patreon. We are here for a special interview with none other than Kalvin Strange. I'm Samuel Matthews. This is Big Cat Tyler Adams. And welcome to the Purr Sessions.
You forgot to mention former Let's Wrestle champion.
My mistake.
Kalvin.
I'll get beat for that later. That's all right.
That's all right. That'll come in time. We take you out. You know, we'll figure it out during training next time.
Yeah.
Rough you up a little bit.
Yeah, no big deal.
Really get my percentiles right. Damn it. Right.
My credential.
Your one credential.
Hey.
So we're really excited to have you. You're a guest that I've really wanted to have on for some time now. Your journey is very interesting to me from what I've been told, and I'm really excited to get into that. So, first off, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Gosh, that's a hell of a question right there. A little about me?
Just give me two highlights about Kalvin Strange.
Two highlights.
Yep.
Handsome.
Okay.
And cunning.
Handsome and cunning. All right. So, Kalvin, we're going to start off with this big question. What got you into wrestling?
Yeah, okay. That is the big question, isn't it? My journey through getting into wrestling, it goes way back to the 90s, it just being a kid, and wrestling was the most popular thing really at the time, and my parents are not wrestling people and they're not fans, and so we didn't watch it in my house. But in the 90s, wrestling was so popular, you didn't even need to watch it to know what was going on. You knew everyone. You knew
every kid.
You knew DX.
Yeah.
Everyone was doing crotch chops. Everybody knows DX. Everybody knows Stone Cold. Everybody knows The Undertaker. I even knew Kane and the whole, because kids would just talk about that. Kane is his brother. He burned down the house when they were kids. You know what I mean? And the parents died. And so to me, pro wrestling was like comic books, and I often compare wrestling to comic books in that way. The whole consistent universe type thing, persistent universe that continues and just builds on itself.
Yeah.
And so it really kind of started as a little bit of a forbidden fruit in my life, as this cool thing that I think I liked, but I wasn't allowed to watch. And then right around the early 2000s, I was able to really start watching wrestling regularly. And then I would say that era, specifically the 2002, 2003 kind of SmackDown era.
So in the Ruthless Aggression era, roughly?
I would say that's when I first really started watching wrestling.
That's really
on my own
interesting,
time.
because one thing that we've talked about a few times on here is our most influential eras, and it seems like even though
early 2000s.
Yeah, even though everybody holds the Attitude Era in high regards, right now it seems like everybody we talk to has been strongly influenced by the Ruthless Aggression era.
Sure. Well, Matt, Sam, you're 2 years older than me, right? You're 35. I just turned 33. Yeah. I don't know how old you are, Big Cat.
I just turned 30 this year.
So we're all sort of in the same era in that regard, right?
Yeah.
Our generation is the one who's sort of taking the reins, and when we were really fixating on wrestling and really gravitating towards it. we're just past the Attitude Era,
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of good to be had from both eras, from just about any era of wrestling. But what I love about Ruthless Aggression and specifically the early era, that 2002, 2003, was I felt like watching SmackDown, there was such an air of legitimacy behind the wrestlers and the choice of wrestlers that they had, with Guerrero, Benoit, Angle, Lesnar. Just those four guys alone were probably my four favorites, at that time, and really, really strongly influenced the kind of wrestling that I like. So
that's you just answered two questions right there.
Yeah.
Like,
damn it, I'm flying through this.
No, we have plenty. Because like another question was like, who's your most influential wrestlers? Because we all are influenced by people.
Yeah.
We want to emulate those styles. And another one was, what was your favorite style of wrestling?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Well, my first favorite wrestler was The Undertaker.
Oh, yeah.
So when I was a kid, Taker's my favorite, and then for years he's my favorite, potentially my all-time. I don't know, but it's interesting because his style is nothing that I ever want to emulate.
It's nothing like your style.
It's nothing like my style. I don't have his body type. I don't have his, anything like that. So, but when I was kids, and we were kind of talking about this, I think at training, in terms of the audience not really knowing necessarily what's going on when it comes to chain and technical wrestling.
Yeah.
But me and my friends, we loved the guys who seemed technical, and we didn't even put words to that. We didn't say, I like the really technical wrestlers. It was just, we always found ourselves liking guys like Lance Storm, where like he was an actual, me and my friend, we loved watching him, and we didn't really know why, and come to find out it's because I just really like really clean, cool, technical wrestling,
Speaking of Lance Storm, you trained with Lance Storm, right?
I trained with Lance Storm, yes.
So how did that come to be?
Yeah. So I went to college for audio engineering. So I'm doing all that, but then I get out of college and it's not what I want to do, right? It's not what I want to do for a living. It's what I like to do as a hobby. So I kind of float around for a bit and then get back into wrestling, decide that I actually want to pursue it. So I had always had it in my head, because when I wanted to be a wrestler when I was younger, I just didn't understand how to get into it. I didn't understand indie wrestling. I didn't go to my first indie wrestling show until like 2012. That was actually my first live wrestling show I'd ever been to. And so I didn't know how to get into the industry. So as far as I knew, the only thing you could do was like travel and go to some well-renowned school, So I ended up learning about indie wrestling and everything, but I still was sort of holding on to that nugget of like, I want to get trained by someone really legitimate. Like I want to just be able to, it's almost like, I say it's like a college diploma. Like anybody can learn what you learn in college on your own, but the little diploma that you hold up helps you get a job, right? Because you say like, yeah, there's proof that I learned it.
Right.
And I was kind of like, I wanted to do that to just sort of be able to say that I learned it the right way, quote unquote, and all that stuff. So I did a little bit of research, and Lance Storm was one of the first ones that I found that had a school at the time. And I was already, like I said, I was already a fan of his from back in the day. Yep. And it just seemed like the right thing. So I priced it out and worked a job for a couple years and lived with my parents and saved up, a few $1,000s or whatever. And then just went to Canada. Well, I got approved, of course.
Yeah,
via email.
Doorstep. Yeah.
He's like, we're full.
Interesting. Like, so tell us a little bit about your time um, training with Lance Storm and what that was like compared to, per se, what we do at the dojo. And not that one way is wrong, one way is right. I just want to. We always stress that anytime we do these kind of comparisons.
Yeah.
Resources are a real thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Take us through like what a regular training day was like for you with Lance Storm.
Yeah, so we trained 5 days a week, and we trained, I think about 5 hours a day. It was from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then when we were done, I'll go back to the actual train, but then when we were done, we would normally all head off to the gym and then do our lifting and stuff like that, and then we'd all hang out and then rinse and repeat. The structure of the training, I mean, the whole structure of the training is basically what gave me the tools to be able to help pass on the knowledge, because it was set up in almost because it was a 3 or 3.5 month camp, so not that long. But the first month was almost all fundamentals, and then the second month was sort of teaching us the, shine, heat, finish type stuff.
Yeah.
And he still hadn't told us how a whole match goes together. So he's just sort of, first he's just showing us moves and chain and grappling, all the basics, bumping, all those basics for weeks and weeks. And then we start putting together segments, right? We start learning about shine. We start learning about all that stuff. We start learning about heat, hope spots. And then we start learning about finishes, putting together a quick little finish. And then by the final month, he's showing us putting all that together. And then we ended up having a big, essentially for like the last few weeks, it might have been the last 2 or 3 weeks, it was all like a big, sort of like a round robin tournament where everybody wrestled everybody.
Oh, wow.
Like everybody had a match against everybody. We'd come in, we'd all wrestle our matches, they'd all get recorded. And then you'll sit down, with Lance Storm, and he just critiques your match. So in terms of having like thin and thick skin and stuff like that, that was good training, because Storm's not going to be a dick to you, but he's going to tell you exactly what you're doing wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
And he's going to crack a joke here or there.
What year was that, by the way?
That was 2016. So that was September to November 2016.
So you mentioned that it gives you the tools to be that one of the things that did was give you the tools to be able to translate it to the dojo now.
Sure.
So what tools do you feel did that prepare you for? Did you also ever see yourself in a coaching role like you are now? Like, you came back. I remember when you came back, and we'll get back to your comeback. We'll get back to that.
Mm-hmm.
But you came in just
the crew.
training. Yeah, just part of the crew, and now you're what you are, and Alexander Lee are two of my mentors in this industry, and I look to you two for advice when it comes to wrestling. So, did you ever see yourself in this position when you were in the school, when you were coming out? Did you feel like, hey, maybe I am going to be a coach? Or did it just kind of happen and now you're here?
Well, I had been helping some people train. Also, my whole family is teachers, so I think there's some sort of affinity there in terms of I've either have it in my genes or I just have picked it up through osmosis over the years. But my father's a gym teacher, my mother's a librarian and an English teacher, my sister is a child teacher, my grandmother was a teacher. So my whole family was just full of teachers, and I've always said I had zero interest in teaching, like in any any capacity. But when we were really making Let's Wrestle. I mean, I say we. I was a small part of that, but when Let's Wrestle was like first becoming the thing, that's when I started helping out in terms of training some new people. Mac Daniels, I was his first day in terms of showing him how to take a bump and run the ropes and stuff like that. I think when it comes to teaching the basics in particular, I think I have a pretty good handle on how to teach those things in particular. I think that's kind of mostly my strong suit, is trying to get people more up to speed with everybody else, to try and get everybody more to the peer level where you can really start learning more and more. Coming back to it, I mean, I had been out for 4 years.
Right, you took time off during COVID.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, my partner has a lot of health issues, and we were basically told, don't go outside. So we stayed inside, and we didn't come outside until we got the A-OK from the doctors, which took about 4 years. And then I start slowly coming out. But when I was coming back, the last thing I was thinking was I'm going to come out and be like a teacher. And honestly, the last thing that I was thinking was that someone was going to consider me a like mentor in any way, shape, or form. I'm coming back to this thinking I got to come back and earn everybody's like respect, you know, because whatever I was before, like Let's Wrestle champion, maybe I was a guy who was around a lot in terms of setting up the ring and being there. Well, for 4 years, I haven't been that guy. So to me, the guys who have been here, who have been setting up and tearing down the ring, making the drives, doing the shows, and actually fostering this really incredible, like local wrestling community that we have right now in Maine.
Right.
I wasn't there for any of that, so it's like I'm coming back to it not expecting anything from anyone. That's why I was like, I just want to train. Like I just want to be one of the guys again and just get in there and work.
So you feel like you feel like you need to basically earn your spot back, is what you're basically saying, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody's been really, really ridiculously kind to me, and I think that's a wrestling thing too, in terms of respecting your elders or vets, if you can even call me that. But you know, it's been great, and everybody's been super cool. Basically,
I was gonna say, well, you're kind of selling yourself short because you're a pretty nice guy. So
Yeah, you're you're 100% not giving yourself enough credit because, like I said, I've had the great opportunity to really train with you since you came back.
Yeah.
Like, I've had that opportunity, and like, I don't kid around when I call someone a mentor, but that's what you have been.
Wow.
And you sell yourself short a lot of times, even in your in-ring ability. Your timing is really, really good, and timing is so important.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So I'm not surprised seeing you in a coaching role because of all these intangibles that you do have. And I'm sure it's humbling coming back with the love and adoration that you really have come back to.
Yeah, it's no, truly. I mean, now I have issues in terms of when I go into a social situation, I typically think everybody here fucking hates me, you know, like,
Yes.
and even if the person is telling me that they like me, you know, it's very hard for me sometimes to convince myself this person actually likes me.
Yes.
I feel you.
And I think just about we're all a bunch of just weirdos in wrestling. Like we're just a bunch of awkward dorks, you know, like. So
every single time I get out of wrestling, like out of training, I'm like, God, I bet I was fucking annoying today.
yeah, exactly. Every time. So
I'll tell you a funny story. So
Please.
I literally had myself convinced at one time that everybody was protecting me in the wrestling business because I was absolutely god awful, but they just, because I'm a nice person, they just wanted me around so that they weren't like telling me the truth. Like
It's
I
figured it
had
out.
myself convinced that just like people just enjoyed having me around, but I was an absolute dog shit wrestler.
Right.
So like, but
It's
I
such
understand.
It's such a convoluted scenario we built for ourselves too. Like, you're so convinced of all these plot points, you know, like,
Absolutely.
like, and it's like and it's one of those humbling things when you can convince yourself, man, nobody even is fucking thinking about me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's like you just it's so funny. But you guys know exactly where I'm coming from. So
Yeah.
coming back to it again, it's sort of like I'm not expecting anything from anyone. If anything, I'm thinking people are gonna go, this fucking old guy, you know, he's showing up. He hasn't been here for 4 years, and now he just wants to pick up where he left off. He doesn't want to have to work for it.
I mean,
You know.
Ring Wars. I mean,
So
I'm just saying, have you ever worked for the promotion?
It's technically a new promotion, so
for Ring Wars, no.
Yeah.
No.
You were you're being. I don't know if this will be out by the time.
Oh,
that
right.
happens, but you were picked by MEW.
Yes.
To represent MEW.
Yeah.
You excited for Ring Wars?
I'm super excited for Ring Wars. I've been very excited for every show I've had, and I've been also, so far, every show I have had since I've been back has been like a fair show or some kind of like smaller show. Now, you know, hey, I don't know anything about Ring Wars. I haven't even looked into it very much at all. As far as representing them, I'm stoked for that, you know, because like we said, I mean, I haven't been a Let's Wrestle guy for about 4 years, so you know, I've only wrestled in Limitless on very limited occasions and very small capacities. So I'm more than happy to represent this company, and I'm just happy that there's more companies to work for in the area. I mean, that's a huge thing.
I'm sure that's a big culture shock almost. You know, because pre-pandemic, I don't believe there was many promotions.
No.
And now that you're back, you have MEW, MPW, Let's, Limitless. There's Crown. There's
Never heard of it.
NAWA. Like, there's all these different promotions. How do you feel about that, especially in Maine, where everything is like 2-3 hours away?
It's so good because, like, Maine has a reputation in wrestling anyway, which you guys may or may not know about. It kind of goes far back, and I don't think the reputation is really the way it was, like it was. You know, you could. I'm sure you guys have talked to Mr. Alexander Lee about those old classic days.
Yeah,
but it's just incredible, really. I mean, truly, there was a couple places to work here. I don't know how. Well, one of them I don't even think is a wrestling promotion anymore, so I guess it doesn't matter. But there was Avalanche Pro Wrestling was a thing, and they were like up in Presque Isle. And let's see, there was and I mean, not the greatest. It's a hell of a drive too, so it's just it could be very depressing, quite frankly. Maine wrestling could be quite depressing. That's why Limitless, first of all, when Limitless came around, which was 2015, so the year before I decided to start wrestling again. I mean, when I saw that there was a flyer for a local show that was going to be in Orono, and Chris Hero was going to be there, I mean, I was just like, what? Like, he was a big deal to me because in those early 2000s, when I was on a lot of wrestling forums and stuff, Ring of Honor was huge, which is another big influence for my wrestling style. But a lot of that Ring of Honor stuff I've had to go back to and watch now because, in Maine, like in the early 2000s, Ring of Honor isn't airing, in Maine. So, but Chris Hero, he's a indie legend, of course. So that was like a huge deal, and also I just didn't see names like that get brought up around here in other promotions. That's when I met Randy. That was my first seminar. That was my first wrestling training. Really, was that show with Chris Hero.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was incredible. I'm like, and then that's what makes me realize like what is going on here? Is there like real wrestling happening around here?
Right.
So
It's really changed the entire culture, from my understanding of wrestling.
Everything, and I have wanted to say this too to like some of the like trainees and stuff, or just the locker room in general. Like, is that I just, and not that anybody's acting ungrateful, but I hope people are very grateful for the dojo was not a thing. We made that a thing.
We've talked about how the training used to be on the podcast.
Really harsh. Before
that
dojo,
it was 2 hours. You were paying a big amount of money, and you still had to set up the ring and all that before a show.
IWE.
IWE.
It was. It wasn't even a class. It was you set up the ring hours before the show, and you get some training in. From other guys who are also trying to learn how to train. So.
Yeah, and that's what I did. A few of those. I had already signed up for Storms, but I wanted to get some ring experience, so I started doing IWE, running hard cam, and then setting up and getting a little bit of training. And let me tell you, I don't know, did you guys ever take a bump in Bertha?
No,
I'm sure you heard stories.
I was supposed to. I originally 2012.
You lucked out.
Yeah, I did.
Oh wow, 2012.
2012. Originally, I was going to start.
Wow.
And I couldn't afford it. At the time, I didn't have a car, anything, because at the time they were doing. I think there was a. I think there was like 2 or 3 classes that were free that you could do, and my brother originally did it. And he only lasted 2 classes because he said that fucking ring sucks. And like, this is not for me. But yeah, originally 2012 I was gonna do it, and then the price for a year for training was way out of my price range. So I kind of put that on the back burner for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I finally, kicked myself into gear around before COVID hit to actually start doing wrestling, because I've been wanting to do it for a long time. And it's like, but it's just like when I hit 24, it was either you're gonna go into MMA or you got to do, because I had a wrestling career, I had a wrestling background for school from from 3rd grade to freshman in high school. I did wrestling.
That's cool.
So
that's awesome.
It was. I got my.
I never had that.
I got my ass kicked for the majority of that. I didn't. No. I don't think I won any matches until until I hit.
But you kept. Grade. But you did it that whole time.
I did it the whole time.
I think that counts for something.
And then,
Absolutely.
And then either I can't remember, either 8th grade or my freshman year is I was pretty close to undefeated in my weight class for the longest time.
Dang.
I got injured. Yeah. That's when I actually started taking it serious.
Injured.
Yeah, I had a match with a guy who he was jacked. He was jacked, fucking he's like, "Are you sure you're supposed to be here? You look like you're supposed to be already graduated." It's like, what?
Yeah. He's got like a receding hairline already.
Well, yeah, he was a big dude, and he had a very good technique of holding your hand, gripping your hand the whole time, so you couldn't do anything. So he had control the whole time.
Man, what a dick.
He gripped my hand so hard, he sprayed my hand.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Fighting a farmer.
Yeah.
Unsafe worker.
Yeah, dude, stiff.
It started then.
Stiff.
So I was
you guys need to talk more. You guys gotta talk more.
So, and then the funny thing is, the next match, like, because I told my mom's a nurse, which is hilarious. This story, I'm like, Mom, it's like it's hurting really bad. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, she goes, oh, we'll put some ice on it, whatever. And I'm like, it sucks. It sucks really bad. She goes, oh, I'm pretty sure it's fine. And the next match, the guy was seeing that was holding my hand. His coach told him to go for it, and I told him, I said, and I looked at him like, dude, you do it, you're not gonna like the outcome. And sure enough, he grabbed it. And this is the time where slamming was allowed. I picked him up and slammed that motherfucker.
Oh my god!
And it was a very quick match. And then
Nice. All right, justice was served.
the next day, because the whole time I'm like, Mom, I'm not feeling this ice pack on my hand. This is a huge problem. She goes, oh, just sleep it off. I bet it'll be fine. I wake up and it's like this big.
Oh
like,
god!
We should go to the doctor. She goes, yeah, we probably should.
And it was a sprain.
Yeah, he sprayed. The guy literally held my hand so hard that
Just
he
like
sprained my hand.
Squeezed your tendons together or some shit. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell?
Wild. All right, we're gonna get into some fun questions.
Okay.
But
Before we get into fun questions, though, do we want to? You talked about Mac Daniels, that you did a little bit with Mac Daniels. Do you want to watch
Hell yeah.
your match with Mac Daniels before?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Throw it on. The
and I do
dojo.
just have one question before we watch that. and
Okay,
then
go
get
for
into
it.
a fun question.
What do you got?
Is Kalvin Strange back full time, or are we part-time basis right now?
I would say right this second, I'm part-time, but the things are in motion, essentially, in terms of getting my act together, getting my life together a little bit, and making a little bit of more of a push to come back
Nice.
more regularly. So
Nice.
it's been like an engine that hasn't been turned on in 4 years, and it's just been like a lot of starting and stopping, and a lot of just trying to get things flowing back right, so that I don't come back and everything blows up in my face. But yes, so the idea is to come back full.
Perfect. The hardest thing about wrestling isn't even the wrestling; it's balancing everything else around wrestling.
Yeah,
it really
exactly.
is.
100%.
But I'm excited to hear that we are going to be gearing towards a full-time Kalvin Strange return.
You should be seeing a lot more of me. That is the plan, barring any unforeseen circumstances.
Yeah.
All right, let's watch this match.
I apologize for the little laggy at first.
Studio taping.
Look at that hair.
Classic Kalvin Strange.
Oh yes, that's the classic hair.
Against the main attraction, Mac Daniels, a product of the Limitless Dojo, and actually someone who's trained a little bit under classic Kalvin Strange.
A little bouncy.
Going to be a very interesting dynamic in this matchup to see how much Mac Daniels truly knows and how much Kalvin Strange knows
Gonna
about
get that
Mac
hair
Daniels.
back.
See, and this we're just right here. We're just.
Going to try to keep this.
I mean, you guys know this, but I can't help but commentate when I'm watching matches.
Oh, no,
It's all right.
Looked like he was going to rip it to Kalvin Strange, but thought better of it.
But we're just messing around here.
He now has an arm ringer of his own.
This
You should be able to see a young.
Rolling through and grabbing the arm.
Gee, what the? I think Alec Price is here.
Yeah, Alex
Somewhere,
Price
man.
is right there, right next to Ike.
Okay, yeah, I thought that was the.
Drops the left arm of
So this is this Panic at the Dojo?
No, this was. I don't know. This was just back. We used to just do dojo tapings the day after a Let's Wrestle show.
Okay.
So yeah, we would do the Let's Wrestle show, and then next day at like noon, we'd come in and do this. I'm not doing too bad here. I usually hate watching myself
Your
wrestle.
chain's pretty
Pretty
solid.
good.
I'm pretty impressed. That kid's going somewhere. Oh!
Everything you got,
Daniels on
Eastern
display. as he sends the champ
Now,
flying.
if I do remember something about this match, I do have a very long shine here because I'm still champion at this point.
Shoulder, bicep,
And
Calvin's been attacking that since the get.
I'm not used to working baby either, actually. You know, I'm deep into doing heel stuff here, but
Eats an elbow for his troubles
That was
from the main
stiff.
attraction.
Max was more comfortable doing heel.
Yeah.
From the main attraction.
Max would have sticked around, but he's doing.
And now it's Kalvin Strange looking for a way out as he backs
Cat,
back
you're
Daniels
very
into the
hard to
ropes.
hear.
And
I'm very low?
flying
Yeah, there you
in
go.
Okay,
That's better.
probably
with a brutal
I think it turned the match audio down a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, we can do that.
Off the ropes comes Daniels. Drop down and
There we go. That's a little easier.
connects.
Bang.
You almost never see that come to fruition.
Yeah, Mac, he's doing.
Yeah, right there. Actually, if you rewind that, that was a fun little thing I remember throwing in here that you don't always see, which is if you go further back, I hit him with the
Trip.
The trip, yeah.
yeah. I hit him with one, he goes over. I hit him with another, he slightly trips, and then I hit him with the third, and then he actually goes down. And as you notice, all the wrestlers are now popping because because nobody goes down from a drop down.
Right.
Yeah.
I always like those little things that make the wrestlers kind of pop a bit because they're not expecting it, you know.
Well, I mean, we get so comfortable doing certain things in our matches because it's what we're comfortable with and what we know.
Yeah.
There's some wrestlers right now who really need to change some things up because you can kind of call how their match is going to go before
Right.
they even wrestle.
I gotta work on that. I'm really bad. at
Well,
that.
I mean, I got to work on some more creative cutoffs and stuff like that. So that's something we can work on in practice at some point.
All the time.
So, but it absolutely, like, doing things that aren't necessarily the normal is super beneficial.
That was dope.
Little
Not bad.
missile drop kick.
And he is hucking Mac Daniels.
You gonna bring back that missile drop kick?
I'll take it.
In a variation, actually, yes. I've been working on a variation.
Main attraction.
You both can take it.
That's going to be a theme here. Kalvin Strange.
There's not much I don't like. I still got to work on coming down on my, like, doing head bumps, like pile drivers and stuff. I've never taken a pile driver.
Sure.
So that's the next thing I need to do.
Yeah, I need to take more too, honestly.
Making sure Mac Daniels knows who's in charge of this contest. Now Kalvin lighting up
Just
the rookie in the
waylaying him.
Line the shit out of on Mac.
And here comes Kalvin.
Oh. Oh.
From Mac Daniels, who hucks Kalvin center of the ring
Oof.
to the spine.
Yeah, see, I died way too hard there.
Now,
He may have actually hit me pretty hard, though. I can't remember.
It looked a
I'm gonna
little
say hit
stiff.
you pretty hard.
I think he might have hit me a little hard, and I might have actually been winded a little bit. I can't remember.
There's a couple times here that they've looked a few stiff shots that you've taken.
I gave him a few. We you know, we didn't mind being snug with each other.
I was gonna say, I think the dojo saying is hit hard, apologize after.
yeah, right, exactly. Especially when it's a live setting, right? We're recording.
Make it believable.
I'd rather it look good than hurt me. Yeah.
Every single match I've
So there's that backing away. I wish he just wouldn't back away just as far right there. But this is a very early Mac Daniels, you gotta understand.
Yeah.
I mean, he still hadn't had a whole lot of matches.
Yeah.
Well, we're taught, like, part of that, like, basic is that big, wide cell.
Right.
You know, to create space and to create time and create,
Right.
you know, not to be quick. So it is a different thing when you're now
It is.
transitioning into matches and you're like, well, it doesn't make sense that I'm taking a stroll through the park right now.
Right.
Or Alexander Lee, when you circle up, he fucking hates that. He's like, if we're doing a real fight, we wouldn't fucking circle up. We'll just go at each other. What are you doing?
I get what he's saying with that, is that there's a way to do the circle to make it look less like more wrestling shit,
Right.
you know? it's like you got to make the circle, but make it look a little interesting,
Right.
Energy in the room. He's got momentum.
or don't do it at all.
And here comes Kalvin.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Once again by the main attraction.
That
Yeah.
was so low.
Yeah, a little low.
Somebody say Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers Creepers. Now you know it's a big match. And they got crowds chanting Jeepers Creepers.
Let's Wrestle. Recently defeating Scott Wild and Danger Kid, two guys who were pillars of Limitless Wrestling throughout the first few years. And now, hell, he could become the Let's Wrestle champion, and there's no reason, if he walks out of here today as the Let's Wrestle champion, that he can't be considered for Limitless Wrestling action full time.
You're gonna get him back
And that's
here.
what everyone in Let's Wrestle is striving for.
Yeah, I haven't watched this match in a long time.
Whip Kalvin Strange into the buckle and
Another lariat. Now I'm not dying.
Yeah.
There's some selling. And then I like doing this, right? Crawl up using the guy's legs. Create that kind of visual.
Yeah.
Let him look way better. Talking for a minute. Jawbreaker. Where are we going with this? Weak lariat. I'm gassed. I can tell. I'm fucking gassed. Bad pump kick. Oh, angle slam. Yeah, that looked good.
That was good.
Gotta hit some of those now.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta bring that back.
I love being blown up. It's like, oh my god, this fucking sucks.
Are we done yet?
That's when you're getting your cardio. That's when you're getting your best cardio.
Right?
Ah!
Sorry. It's like, fuck off for a minute. Let me breathe.
So I was doing a Fujiwara armbar as a finish, so I think that's what we're teasing right there. Oh, and then this thing. That's right.
Oh.
This might be
Shot.
like a little reverse Shining Wizard into sort of like a disarmer kind of thing.
Oh,
I like
that
it.
was dope. I like that.
I like it.
So that knee to the back thing, that might make a return too. I could have given him more. I was being selfish in this match.
You're the champ.
I was the champion. I was up against this new fucking good-looking guy. Looks like he's gonna get signed tomorrow. I gotta make myself look good, you know.
All
pretty good
right.
match.
No,
Not bad, not bad. I enjoyed that better. I have a lot of trouble, especially at the time. Had a lot of trouble watching my own stuff back.
was that match like fresh out of Lance Storm?
No, this had to have been a year or two
Yeah, I was gonna say.
after.
I mean,
I'd already
that's
been
that's
fairly
like a
weathered by this
fresh.
point.
Oh,
It's still fairly fresh, but I just mean in terms of I've had at least a year and a half to 2 years of doing wrestling matches, you know,
okay.
in
Got you.
several disciplines. I mean, I was champ, so you know,
Sure.
by that point, by the point that I was champ, I would no longer consider myself. Excuse me, I wouldn't have considered myself fresh out of training.
Gotcha.
But Mac was I would call Mac fresh out of training in that match.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So, what is the worst bump that you've ever taken?
Yeah, this one actually I thought of when we were talking about it at the last show when you brought this up. No, it's a bump. It's not exactly a bump, but so IWE wrestling in Fairfield. So back at the building that Let's is running.
Yep.
Right now, and I don't even remember who I'm tagging with. Weirdly, I legitimately can't think of who I'm tagging with, but I'm tagging against the Middlesex Express. Do you guys know who they are?
I'm not familiar.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they do anything up here anymore. Two cool guys, but one of them, Stephen Lust.
I know Stephen Lust.
You know Stephen Lust. Okay, perfect, great. So you know Stephen Lust. So I'll put him on the spot. So he gives me a snap nair. I'm sitting in the middle of the ring, and I'll say too, I've only been wrestling for like probably 6 months at this point.
Okay.
And he hits the rope. It's so simple. He hits the ropes. comes back and stomps me. And he stomps me right in the throat. Really hard. So hard that for, I would say 5 to 10 seconds, I was sort of thinking I'm going to die in the ring. And come to find out, you can actually get something messed up there. If you get hit in your neck a little too hard, there is something that can go the wrong way, and then the air will no longer be able to come in. And it felt like that for like 10 seconds. I mean, I was down. I couldn't talk or anything, and I actually couldn't sing for like 2 years.
No
It like literally, my like voice registry dropped for like a year, and then for like another year after that, I couldn't hit certain like high notes because I sang, and so like it was just like it was absolutely brutal. So he hits the ropes, he came back, and I think he snapped near me too close or something. I think I was just snapped near just too close, and he hit me, boom, and I just went over, and like it's like getting the wind knocked out of you, but in your throat. Such a weird feeling. You just can't breathe for like 5 seconds, and you're just like, in those 5 seconds, you're like, am I never gonna breathe again? You know, like you just have no idea. Those 5 seconds last forever, and then you slowly start breathing. You're, okay, I think I'm good. And then you're breathing. You're okay. I think I'm all right. But that was the scariest bump that I've taken. Or scariest like move or injury.
Just something so simple that
you
do all the time.
And
like
every injury I've ever had has always been from something like stupid and small. It's never been from something big and cool. I mean, Mike, when I had my last match with McCarthy, in the first like 60 seconds of the match, he suplexes me out of the ring to the floor. And that didn't hurt as much as getting kicked in the throat did.
Ooh.
That didn't hurt as much as getting kicked in the throat.
Yeah,
so
something right there.
Listen to Ghostface Killer and protect your neck.
Protect your neck. What's the worst bump that you've seen?
The worst bump that I've seen. Oh my god. Well, is it is it bumps in person, or is it just things that we've seen online, or
whatever you would like?
God, the worst bump that I ever have seen then has to be that guy who did like a double moonsault or a double.
Is that the dude
shooting
who
star
down
press?
On his head?
I mean, directly. I mean, perpendicular with the mat. I mean, and it sounds like a gunshot when he hits.
I think I know which one you're talking about because
it was everywhere.
Because he then kicked out or like got his shoulder up.
Yeah.
And then
and you could see his opponent like
he
what
ended
the
up
fuck?
breaking his skull.
It was the grossest. It was disgusting. I mean, it's terrifying. It's like almost chilling to watch that clip. Well, it's obviously chilling because the audience goes completely silent. I mean, there's a pin drop silence in there. I mean, people are wondering if this guy literally died in front of them.
Let me see if I can.
And then the guy comes over, pits up, he kicks out.
Oh, you
this is the craziest. This is the nastiest bump I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if anything. I hope nothing ever tops this.
I'm assuming you're talking about this one right here.
Yep.
Yeah, this got to be it.
Now he looks like he's. Oh, now. Oh, God.
I'm like nervous to watch it.
He executes this maneuver from the
Yeah, this is rough.
This is unbelievable.
What is this?
Look, everyone's cheering, everyone's clapping, everyone's making noise. And you're about to hear them go completely silent. He even prayed.
I don't know how
Dead
he's
silent.
dead.
Dead silent.
Yeah, I don't know how he's not dead or paralyzed from that.
And then 1, 2. Dead silent.
Bro, yeah. They're just like, dude, it's done. Let it go.
Yeah, don't.
Someone started a freaking clap. Yeah, not happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I cannot think of a worse. I can't think of a worse bump. If you can even call it a bump.
The only one that like comes to mind was the other one that we talked about here, where the girl got scorpioned right at Let's.
Yes.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that was right
Only
before.
other one, yeah.
Yeah, that, and I didn't see that because I was talking over my match with Jossie.
Oh no shit.
Because we were in the main, and so we're downstairs. There's 2 more matches left. That match, then Davian and Masha Slamovich,
Yup.
and then it's us in the main. So we're sitting there talking, and then yeah, we heard about what happened. We eventually see her come through, or whatever, not dead. But I just remember Randy essentially hyping us up before the match and coming over and saying, I don't know what the fuck you guys have to do, but you get that audience back into this because they are mortified right now.
Yeah. Like I had never seen that, and just seeing her literally scorpion herself was just
And I don't think she wrestles anymore. I don't think that was the thing that stopped, but it wasn't
I
too
wouldn't
bad.
blame her.
I wouldn't blame her either.
What do you got here?
This is my first match with Mr. Aiden Agro. Now this, you want to talk about fresh out of training. Oh, this is the DDT. That match, that's fresh out of training, Kalvin. Especially if you see me wearing those orange tights. If you see me wearing those orange tights, that's like, I don't know what I'm doing yet. Like, I'm out of training, I think I know what I'm doing, and then the moment I'm there...
Well, maybe next Per Sessions we'll watch a old school Kalvin match, and we'll give our critiques.
That would be funny. My first match is on YouTube.
Okay.
So...
make it a point that we're going to watch that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So I know your time is limited, and we don't want to keep you too long, and I know Big Cat's got stuff going on as well. So I got 3 more questions for you, and
sure, lay them on me.
Fire. What's your favorite title belt of all time?
Ooh. So are we just going for aesthetic, or are we going for everything, or
whatever? No, it's your choice. Like for me, my favorite title belt of all time is the Big Gold.
Sure.
That title just...
Great choice.
It's just the one that resonated with me. I always wanted to hold that belt.
Sure.
The people who wore that belt are some of my favorites, so it's just that's my favorite belt of all time.
Good choice.
What's yours?
I would have to say, if someone was putting a gun to my head and forced me to pick my favorite title, I would say it would be the controversial, and I've gotten in an argument with Alec Price over this before.
Okay.
The Undisputed Championship. The original WWE Undisputed Championship. AKA the one that became the SmackDown Championship for a short period of time until John Cena turned it into the spinner, I believe.
Yeah.
So...
Chris Jericho held it for a while, right?
Jericho was the first Undisputed, but he never had the actual belt. Because when he had it, it was still the 2 titles. It was the Big Gold, and then it was the whatever you call it, the Attitude Era, like, Eagle belt. Like the Stone Cold belt.
You're talking about... it's not going to let me share my screen.
I think the first person to have the actual belt might have been Hulk Hogan, because Triple H then beat Jericho at WrestleMania 18, and he only held it for a month, and then Hulk Hogan won it from him. That's the one. And that doesn't show the whole belt, because one of the things I like about it is I like all the plates on the sides.
Yep.
It was kind of funny, the little things that kids fixate on and think are so cool, but we were all talking about how there are 5 plates on the side of it. Like, one side has 3 and one side has 2. And that just, to us, made it seem like it was more valuable.
Yep.
And we knew the implications behind the belt. The whole Undisputed Champion thing was, like, new. And it just seemed like such a big deal. Like, oh my god, these guys are the truly greatest champions of all time because they're
Right.
the WCW champion and the WWF champion. So that belt, and then it was like that belt, just the way it looked on, specifically the way that belt looked on Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Just like looked so good around his waist. And just like, that's my champion. That was like my era. That was the belt that I was like, I want to be that champion, you know? I want to be undisputed. So
Absolutely.
I'd have to put that in there. I'd have to put in honorable mentions for, I would say Big Gold, definitely on there. I would say the Attitude Era, not Stone Cold's custom belt, but the one that he's sort of known for having.
Yep.
And then a few others. I do like a lot of belts. European title, love it. The tag team titles from the late 90s, early 2000s, typically the ones that you saw, like the TLC teams fighting over. Absolutely love those because they're like huge. They're like really big looking.
I like
Trying to think, is there any others? I don't want to leave anything out.
Any indie belts that like catch your eye?
Any indie belt? Well, the very beautiful Limitless Wrestling belt, of course. That was like just incredible seeing the pictures of that first time.
It's
when that got made.
Nice.
It was just like shocking. But other than that, I can't think of the way any indie belt looks besides the Limitless title. So
Absolutely.
can't throw any in there, unfortunately.
All right, this one is gonna be interesting.
Okay.
You get to book a dream match for
Oh.
yourself against
Purr.
anybody.
Oh
in their
God.
prime. Who you wrestling?
Ooh. Anybody in their prime, and I can wrestle them. And I'm also going to put the caveat that I'm also in some sort of athletic prime in this match, so I can
Sure,
actually
absolutely.
go toe-to-toe with the person I choose. Because this may seem strange, maybe, but the first person that comes to my head is Shelton Benjamin.
God, that'd be a fantastic match.
So he is one of my faves. The whole World's Greatest Tag Team, Team Angle, all that shit. Absolutely loved them when I was younger. He was my favorite. He was my favorite like wrestler in the world for a long time. Like around like kind of the early 2010s. I was like, "Where's Shelton at, man? Like that guy was the best. He was in New Japan and stuff, and Ring of Honor and everything." I just think he's literally one of the best wrestlers to ever do it.
Oh, so
You know, like bar none. And yeah, I don't know. I think it would either be him or Eddie Guerrero. And but I think the Shelton Benjamin's a little bit more of an interesting choice because I don't know if everybody picks him.
right.
But I just think he's phenomenal in every way. And if the super kick heard around the world doesn't sell people on the fact that he can put on main event caliber matches, you
Are
know,
we gonna get the calf kick heard around the world?
I would love that. I got it. It needs some work, and I got to stretch the groin a little bit more because it was a little sore afterwards. But
I'm sure.
that is the that is the goal.
I can hit a springboard crossbody. You can fucking hit me with that. How about that?
Exactly, perfect. Hell yeah.
All right. So, any indie wrestlers right now that you're really wanting to get in the ring with?
Yeah, you guys. I
I appreciate that.
You have.
have gotten in the ring.
Yeah.
I have gotten in the ring with you, but I has all been in fairly limited capacities. So, one of the first things I wanted to do was sort of like have my list of like all the trainees. Like, okay, I want to wrestle every single one of these guys. You know what I mean? Like, I want to. Part of that coming back to things, like I want to see where they're at. I want to see where I'm at. I want to just get to know everybody and get that rapport.
I can tell you how our match is gonna go. I'm gonna get pissed because you're gonna train wrestle the fuck out of me, and I'm gonna look like shit, and then I'm just gonna start throwing you around. As much
Just get off me.
Basically, it's like, okay, I'm done with this shit. Fucking
Yeah. Hey, that's the story.
yeah.
It works. Yeah. I want to get back in there with Channing Thomas because we have had a history. We've had a few matches together back when he wasn't shit, and we had a lot of fun. So I want to run that back a little bit. Hopefully, I want to wrestle.
I mean, he has the Let's title.
That's true. So
That's all I'm saying.
There has to be some sort of, old. I mean, I know the company's only 5 years old, but there has to be some obscure Let's Wrestle law that allows me to challenge him as a former champion.
Randy Carver.
With the Limitless title, just it might as well be tacked on there.
Hey, I'm not gonna say one way or the other.
Channing Thomas, I really want to wrestle him again, but he may be shooting for bigger and better things by this point. I want to get in there with Danny Miles, who was on a recent Limitless show, and he gave me a little seminar in the really, really early days before I'd even started going to IWE, and he's just a really cool guy. And then when you watch him, the last Limitless show that he was on, he's just so good. I mean, like, in terms of dudes who have the movements down and just the cadence of wrestling. Like, that guy he has it made. I just think he's he's like Dynamite Kid, of New England. So I really want to get back in with Danny Miles. Trying to think any others off the top of my head. I really should be writing down a list, but I guess those are the only two I can think of off the top of my head.
You are on my list of people I want to wrestle, so we'll have to figure out a way to make this work.
Yeah, we got to stop being both hated at the same time.
I was trying to find it, but Jim Cornette actually put out a video. I don't know if somebody got it for I can't remember what it is when you ask like a celebrity whatever to say. I can't remember what it's called when you pay money for a celebrity to say something.
Cameo.
Oh yeah.
Cameo. He had one he said, "Fuck you, Channing Thomas." Like,
oh really? That's funny. There you go. Well on his way.
The last question is going to be on the same vein of dream matches. Who is a dream match that you would love to see two wrestlers in their prime go at it? Anywhere, any place, and it doesn't matter the company. It can be indie versus WWE, like whatever you want. What is a dream match you want to see?
I'm thinking hard about this one.
It's a big question.
I know who one of the participants is. I'm just trying to think of who his opponent would be. It's going to be
drum roll.
Kurt Angle.
I don't have my sound effect board where I would do it.
It's going to be Kurt Angle versus Bryan Danielson.
Oh, that'd be a hell of a match.
I mean, I know it's not. I don't think it's that creative of a choice because I think it's a dream match that people like talk about. But
you know who I personally would prefer to see over Bryan Danielson in that spot though against Kurt Angle?
I'm sorry, I thought you were asking me this question. That's interesting.
Listen, I'm giving you my hot take.
It's interesting.
Okay, you calm down.
I didn't hear any segment music.
Give me 2 seconds.
I didn't hear any segment music. How do I know this is a hot take?
Because that's how I say it. Okay? You give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, he's got.
There's the segment music.
There it is.
No, I love that pick. For me, because I'm just not a huge Bryan Danielson fan. Just not a big Bryan Danielson fan. I know I'm probably wrong.
I don't get it.
Zack Sabre Jr.
who was at that first Limitless show. He was the guy who wrestled Chris Hero.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, it was Chris Hero and Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. is amazing. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong with that choice. However, I will argue that I bet you have not seen Bryan Danielson from Ring of Honor, have you?
I saw some of his stuff. For me, what it honestly is I'm not a fan, as a general rule, of like the underdog character.
Then you didn't see Bryan Danielson in Ring of Honor because he's not an underdog.
Okay.
Bryan Danielson was a dominant champion. Nobody could beat him. It didn't matter how big he was. It had nothing to do with his size. And that was sort of at a time in Ring of Honor where all other companies were about size and stuff,
Right.
and Ring of Honor was really not about that. Bryan Danielson, 5'9", and he was the dominant champion of Ring of Honor for well over a year. I mean, he just creamed everyone, and he was a douche, and he was mean about it, and he hit people really hard. And if I could recommend you watch something to maybe change your stance on that, I would watch one of my favorite matches of all time, Bryan Danielson versus Kenta in Ring of Honor. It's such a good match. I mean,
2 seconds.
one of my favorites, truly one of my favorites. And I would argue that you might be able to see where I'm coming from with Bryan Danielson over Zack Sabre Jr. At least at the time. I think Sabre at Angle is like obvious, like, and especially like America, the England, like 100% would be an all-time classic.
Now, are we talking Perk Angle?
I think this would be a Perk Angle situation, actually. Now, that's not the angle that I watched the most of.
Yeah.
But you know, I think I almost want to say, I know it's not a healthier Angle, but I don't think Angle was necessarily much healthier when I was watching him in WWE.
No, he probably.
I think he was
30 Somas.
still doing all that shit. So, Perk Angle I almost picked just because his build was a little bit smaller. You know what I mean? He wasn't as gassed. So, like, I think him and Bryan Danielson would have matched up better. And also they were wrestling right around the same time. Like, I think all that stuff, I think the whole Perk Angle thing, that's all happening while Bryan Danielson is Ring of Honor champ.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad that it never happened, honestly, because I truly believe they would have had an all-time classic, especially looking forward to the future with what Bryan Danielson would accomplish going on. But yeah, watch some of his old stuff if you want more of an idea of him not just doing the like Yes Movement type underdog story, because I totally get that. But his matches were awesome.
It just never clicked with me, and like granted, it was hard because you don't really get a lot of the story just watching a match per se, like the character development a lot of the times,
Sure.
So like I've watched matches, but now that you explain the story, I'm gonna go back and watch this Kenta match because in my mind, Bryan Danielson was still,
underdog stuff.
Right.
Where in Ring of Honor, he was like the hated champion for a long time, like douchebag, and hits people hard and is mean and does those types of hits that makes the crowd go whoa, because no one could tell if he's actually being mean or is this real, is this fake? So good shit. I highly recommend. I think you'll like it, especially too technical brawling aspect. There's a lot of that.
Okay.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of getting the guy in the hold and then beating him in the face. I mean, the audience used to chant when Bryan Danielson would come out to a match or whatever. People would chant, "You're gonna get your fucking head kicked in." Boom, 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 boom.
I'm gonna have to do some research now.
Yeah, do some research, and also just watch that early 2000s Ring of Honor shit, because it's like the best. It's the best. Love that era. That whole era, whether it was the SmackDown that I grew up watching, or is the Ring of Honor that was happening where I didn't know it was happening. To me, that is the golden era of of wrestling. That's when all the best wrestlers came out.
We got some highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The highlights of Daniel Bryan.
Man, this match is. I watched this match a lot. Like once I decided I was going to be a wrestler, and then I started looking at more wrestlers with physiques closer to mine, with styles that I felt that I could actually replicate.
Right.
You know, these were two guys that I was really watching, and this match in particular I watched several times. It's just a crazy good match. Just look at the in terms of the stuff that we drill, look at the ring positioning. Like, it's just crazy how fast they go and how precise they are.
And they're in the right spot almost every single time.
Yeah, and then Kenta doesn't speak English, you know? I think this is long before Kenta actually started learning to speak English, so these guys are just wrestling. You know?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm sure they have certain things that they can talk out and stuff before the match, but I'm sure by and large, you know, I've never wrestled someone that I don't speak the language of. Boosh!
I like that.
That was
Matt.
good.
You gotta love Kenta.
I was
And
a huge
Kenta-
fan of his, even when he was Hideo Itami.
Oh, sure.
But it sucked so much that it just.
He got a raw deal. He got a raw deal. He shouldn't have been in. He shouldn't have been in there with like new guys. Look at those kicks, dude.
Oof.
Look at that. Picture perfect. Bang. I mean, I just can't picture a world where him and Angle don't have a match of the night,
Right.
especially this era. I mean, and that's the thing. Oh yeah, he missed. He missed right there, and then he goes back and does it because they chant "You fucked up," and he's like, "I fucked up," and he does the big jumping on their knees thing, and then says, "I never fuck up," and everyone starts cheering.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff. This is a good recap of the match. They do everything.
Oof.
Back, boom, catch, bang, suplex. Off the ropes. They're running. They're just constantly. So many kicks. Beautiful.
Unreal.
Bang. Right into the armbar. To the rope. The backflip. Under. Oh, under again. Catch. See, I'm going to be throwing that.
That was sick.
That's an old Lance Storm move, and I'm going to be throwing that in my repertoire, too, for that one-legged Boston Crab.
Those forearms.
Oh, yeah. They beat the shit out of each other. Headbutt into the feet. Drop kick off the springboard. Trading. And yeah. Bang. Bang.
Wow.
Hey, fisherman. I mean, they like move. They did like every move.
Yeah.
It almost looks like too much, but when you watch the match, it doesn't feel like a highlight reel.
I mean, the highlight reel is 7 minutes long, I think.
That's crazy.
The match probably went
30,
15.
if not more. No,
I think it's close to 30, yeah, if not 30.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
it's quite a long match. Perfect catch with that discus.
Cut it.
It's just like everything. They just do everything. It's just so fun. And the crowd is just going crazy. We're not listening to it here, but the crowd is just mental for this match.
In the background, that's why.
Yeah. Oh, bang. That always such a scary bump.
That
Ooh,
cattle
that's
mutilator.
gross.
Yeah. It's that Kalvin. I almost slapped that on you when we were messing around the other
You
day.
should've.
Because I had your arms in it, but I was like in a weird position, so I didn't do it. Oof, perfect bump. Oh, he caught him.
What a catch.
GTA.
Bang. The original GTS.
Yeah.
Foot on the rope. Just can't kill him. I mean, I'm not saying I'm ever going to be able to, but this is the caliber of wrestling we're all shooting for, right? Like, this is what I want to be able to do.
Yep.
I think as long as you're always in the pursuit of greatness, you'll always get a little bit better. So shoot for something great and just keep shooting for it. It's like, I don't even remember how this fucking match ends.
Ooh.
There's the elbows. Here's we're talking about the brawling technical type stuff.
I might
A lot of
start
that.
throwing those.
And goes for the mutilation, but he reverses it into the pin. Almost get that. Still has the arms hooked. Butterfly or dragon. I can't remember what that's called.
I think it's a dragon. Right into the cattle mutilator.
And no way he's getting out that time. Oh my gosh, he didn't tap. Elbows. And again. My god. This is even more intense than I remember.
Alright. I'll give it to you.
Alright.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the Bryan Danielson that I'm thinking of.
Now I want to go back and watch that match. Like,
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. It used to be on YouTube, so I hope you can still find it, because it is.
I'm going to make that, like, my thing tonight after I just built a damn crib.
Nice. There you go. Build the crib, have a beer, and watch that match.
That was 3 hours building the crib. It was
Fun.
Yeah, it's always fun.
I put it together backwards. I had to take the whole thing apart.
Yep, I've done that.
I don't understand why they have to make these damn things so cryptid. You need a friggin' hieroglyphics degree to be able to understand how you have to put it together. It's a fucking nightmare.
It's a mess. It's a mess. That's why I don't build cribs. That's why I don't got kids.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Kalvin, that's all we have. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. We would love to have you on a live show at some point. I know your schedule is all over the place and it's difficult.
But we can make it work.
Yeah, we would love to have you on again. So
yes, definitely.
This is an open invitation for you to come on whenever you're available.
Wow. Thank you.
Absolutely. So do you have any socials or anything like that you want to plug, or anything you want to plug before we call it a show?
Yeah, I guess I'll plug. I mean, I'm not really on the social media a whole lot no more, but I do think I'm going to become a little more active on my Instagram. So that's going to be your pal Cal 302. That's on Instagram. Again, I'm not really active right this second, but once I'm back in the swing of things, I'm probably going to be there more or less. I have a Twitter. Yes, I still call it Twitter. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be using that, but it is at Kalvin's Range. Yeah, that's it. That's
Any
it.
upcoming shows you want to promote?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got MEW. I'll be honest, I'm not sure where the show is yet. No one's told me, but I got MEW coming up.
That's in Franklin.
Franklin, there we go. Thank you.
Franklin, September 7th.
7th. It's my birthday.
Oh, hey, look at that. So you got a birthday show, too, just like I had one.
Yep.
I was supposed to be there, but I won't be there.
Yeah, there's the surprise.
So I should be there for the next 3 MEW shows at the start of each month. And then, but I'm going to be trying to getting onto some more bills here and there. So that's all I got to plug. But I appreciate you guys having me on. Appreciate you guys being so cool to me, like I said, in terms of coming back to the wrestling world and having such a warm welcome and being just pretty much considered one of the family again. So
yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate you guys having me on here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Big Cat, I'll let you do your outros. I know
All
you
right,
have your outros.
Yeah, the outro thing. Well, thank you guys again for watching. Like Sam said in the beginning, this will be a when we need it the most will be posted, but this will be on Patreon for any members only who want to see this before anybody else. So thank you again, Kalvin, for jumping on with us, and we'll see you sometime in the future in class or in the ring with each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have it my way.
To the show.